Have you ever wanted to create your own handicapping dream team? You can build your own superstar handicapping lineup using our Pick Your Team program at both WagerTalk and SportsMemo.com. Even more exciting, until Monday, September 12th at midnight, you can save 10% off Pick Your Team using coupon code PYT10 when checking out. Dave Koken, Marco D'Angelo, and Ralph Michaels, JM Sports, Joseph D'Amico, and the Rocket Man. The combinations are endless as you can choose up to 5 handicappers. You start saving once you choose any 2 handicappers of your choice, and you can pay as little as under $6 per handicapper. Who will make up your dream lineup? Go to Wager Talk or Sports Memo, click Pick Your Team, and personally hand select your handicapping roster. Don't forget that coupon code PYT will expire on September 12th, so get your 10% discount and put together your personalized dream team today.
Welcome into First Pitch right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. I am Drew Martin, joined by Dave Koken and Brian Leonard of WagerTalk.com. We got 3 games on the slate and best bets at the end. We're talking Diamondbacks, Padres, Blue Jays, Orioles, and White Sox and Mariners, of course, before best bets. So let's get into it at the top here, guys. We get the Diamondbacks and Padres, Merrill Kelly versus Joe Musgrove. Dave, coming to you first, minus 155 to as high as minus 160 here on the Pods, 7 being the total. You liking anything in Petco tonight, Dave?
Yeah, I do. Look, I've talked about this a few times, and may as well bring it up again. And that's the rise of the Diamondbacks. Now, if you look at their overall record, they're not much of a team. But that overall record's misleading because the current Diamondbacks are turning out to be pretty good. They've called up some kids from the farm. They are all performing very well. The latest was Ryan Nelson, who's from right here in the Las Vegas, Henderson area. Dominated the Padres last night in his major league debut. The offensive pieces they brought up have done pretty well. And the team is playing with a ton of energy. They're a non-contender that's playing like a contender. The Padres are a contender that's not playing like a contender. They're playing more like a non-contender. The defense has been kind of shaky. The offense has been inconsistent. The bullpen has been less than stellar. Now, Joe Musgrove has been one of the constants. He's good almost all the time for the Padres, so it's not an easy task for any team to beat him. But look at Merrill Kelly. He's having a good year for Arizona. I'm not a big advocate of career records as far as history goes, because the lineups and rosters change every year. But he's 8-2, 2.34 lifetime against the Padres. He likes to pitch against this team. I think Arizona's in better form right now. This is a game that's at odds with the modelers. The models or the power rating projections all have San Diego favored by more than the current number. But I put more into current form, and I think that favors Arizona. And the odds makers, to me, are giving you a bit of an indicator by making this price, quote unquote, lower than it should be. I like the Diamondbacks tonight.
Good stuff, Dave. Yeah, so do I. Brian, coming to you. I mean, to Dave's point, Merrill Kelly, since June 24th, he's 6-0 with a 2.01 ERA. Recent performance, very, very good. And recent performance for San Diego's hitting, last 22 innings in Petco Park, they've scored 0 runs. So they're not seeing it well for some reason there. What are you liking tonight in Southern California, Brian?
Yeah, normally we give out games on this show, and I don't really have much on them, but actually I like these games we're talking about today, and I am in agreement. I've probably made more money on Arizona this year than anybody. I took season wins over on them earlier this season, and I really like the players. And Dave talked about the young guys that they've been bringing up. You know, he talked about the pitchers. They bring these pitchers that they find them, and they've been able to pitch very well. In fact, I think the pitching staff from Arizona is one of the biggest surprises in Major League Baseball this year. They've had a lot of guys that have pitched very well, and now they're bringing up the young guys, as Dave pointed out, and they've got so many young guys that are playing well, they can't find places to play them. They bring up these guys who you wouldn't expect much out of. Stone Garrett's come up. He's been very good since they brought him up. Jake McCarthy is a guy who steals bases. The guy can hit for power. He was considered more of a defensive player, but he's hitting very well. Corbin Carroll is a guy who could be the best guy to bring up this time of year in Major League Baseball. Could be end up as a Rookie of the Year next year, since they did bring him up after the situation for this year, where he could be for next year. But they've got Alex Thomas out there. They're just having a hard time finding at bats for all these young players, and that's a good thing to have. San Diego, as was mentioned, you got a lot of veterans coming down the stretch here. What really said a lot about the Padres is once they made that big trade, you were expecting them to just take off. Everybody was jumping on the chances to play them for the futures, and they just really haven't done it. And so if they haven't done it so far, why would you expect them to start to do it now? Dave talked about Musgrove. Musgrove's been a consistent, great performer for them all season long, but I saw Merrill Kelly doing an interview about a month ago, and he talked about some of the changes he has made. He's healthy this year, and I believe in what he's been doing. So I think this is a cheap number here to be able to take Arizona. And it's a situation where it would not surprise me at all if they win this game. And when you're taking an underdog of this size, that's something you want. You want to take what you think the win percentage is compared to what the lines maker has the winning percentage. And I think we've got some value here on Arizona. Let's make it a clean sweep.
I want to jump in with something. I don't think this is not a value play for me at all. I'll disagree with Brian on that count. I think the odds makers price this lower than the models, so you're not getting value. The value based on the models would be on San Diego, but we're in the time of year where I got to tell you, I think models and value can work really well for you in the earlier and middle portions of the season. At the end of the year, you better start looking for current form and teams that want to play versus teams that are struggling. And you pay closer attention to what the odds makers are doing here, because remember, this is an important thing. The biggest myth you'll ever see in sports betting, and you'll see it if you're on Twitter, you'll see it over and over again, is one, the books are trying to balance the action. That's complete bullshit. It always has been. Okay, they're not trying to balance the action. They are making predictions on the games. That's what the lines are. There are very few games where the books are black. In other words, they don't care who wins. They're going to make money on the VIG because they got 50-50 action. Very few games like that. So pay attention when the odds makers tip you off with what to me is an outlier line. If the models show that San Diego in this game should be in the 180 range, which I think is what you'll get on most of the models, and the odds makers are pricing it in the 150 range, that's the odds makers telling you what they think is going to happen. And I'll side more with them than the models anytime.
Words of wisdom there, Dave. That was great. Go ahead, Brian, if you had a follow-up, man.
I wanted to thank Dave. I did misspeak there. Didn't say it the way I thought about it. He's right. And it's a situation that I always take a look at it. If a line looks too good to be true, chances are it is. So, I appreciate Dave pointing that out. I didn't mean to say that there was value. I meant to say that I like that side. And I think we're all in agreement. I really like the way this team's playing right now.
Yeah, Dave, that was gold. Thank you for explaining that. I do have one follow-up question for you, Dave, in terms of going, you stated like kind of more models in the beginning of the season and then more recent kind of performance like now in the baseball season. Would that be particular towards baseball, or is that across all sports as the season moves on, in your opinion?
I think it's an all sports thing. In tracking the models over the years, because I don't use them particularly myself. It's not my style of handicapping, but I do track them. And with most of them, I've noticed that they're better early than late. Later in the season, in all sports, it seems to be more, the results are more dictated on current form, and also because, remember, the models are based on what's taken place over the whole season.
Right.
Okay, and those numbers might not apply late in the season. They certainly don't with some teams in Major League Baseball right now. I mean, the models still show the Yankees to be a great team. If you've been betting the Yankees every day recently, you've lost a lot of money. They're not a great team. So to me, current form, when you get into the later stages of the season, you really got to rely on current form more than anything else. It should be a first go-to.
At Dave Koken on Twitter. Check him out, wagertalk.com, as we head to our next game here. Toronto Blue Jays and Baltimore Orioles, AL East matchup here, Brian. We get White versus Bradish here, about a pick-em price. Of course, pick the winner, -105 on each side, 8 in the hook being the total. Camden Yards primetime tonight, Brian. You interested in getting involved?
I am. I think this is a good spot here for the Baltimore Orioles. Lost the doubleheader yesterday. A lot of people would think that that's their sign to drop off of Baltimore, but I disagree. If you take a look at how these teams have done against over 500 ball clubs this season, which these two teams are, Toronto's 7 games under 500, Baltimore's 5 games under 500. Baltimore's been very good at home all season long. Toronto on the road, 37-30. They've actually played a little bit better at home slightly, but Baltimore's been very good, 39-27 at home this year. I really like the pitching matchup here between Toronto and Baltimore. Mitch White is a guy that came over in a trade from the Dodgers. I liked him with the Dodgers in that division, in those pitching ballparks, but now he comes over to the American League East. It's tough to pitch there. You know, Baltimore's situation is a little bit different. They moved that fence in about 20 feet, 18 feet or so far this year, and it's really helped their entire pitching staff. Kyle Bradish, I mentioned this on another program. I don't know if it was this one, but last time Bradish pitched, you've got to really throw out. Dave talked about the difference between early in the season and late in the season. Bradish was a guy that I liked coming into the season, and he struggled early on, which you find a lot with these young pitchers in Major League Baseball. They sent him back down to the minors. He changed a couple of things. He's back up, and he has been terrific for this Baltimore Orioles team. So you could throw out all the season-to-date record. This is a different pitcher now than he was early on when he's just a nervous rookie. Mitch White's a guy who keeps you off balance, 87.9 exit velocity, 33.6 hard hit percentage. But once you do hit him, he hasn't had a lot of success here. Baltimore coming off of that doubleheader loss yesterday, where Toronto's bats, a lot of people are going to look and say, oh, their bats woke up a little bit yesterday. 3 home runs on the day for Bo Bichette, who's been not a shell of himself from his earlier seasons. So it's a situation for me where I like Baltimore here. You're getting them in basically a pickup situation. And when you take a look at what the numbers say on the entire year, there's a little bit of value. And I do love the situation with Kyle Bradish pitching. I think this is a guy who's under the radar right now, but every time he goes out there, we lose a little bit more value. But I like them today. Give me the Orioles.
Yeah, good breakdown there, Brian. Dave, coming to you next. To Brian's point, Bradish under the radar here, 15 straight scoreless innings now. But Toronto winning 5 straight. Kind of some cross currents here, Dave. What do you like in Camden Yards?
It's actually 6, isn't it? In any case, it's a winning streak versus. Well, it's 5 or 6. I don't have it in front of me, but the Orioles have lost 3 in a row, so it is a winning streak versus a losing streak. I'm not a White guy. Well, yeah, actually, I am a White guy. An old White guy.
Yes, I confirm that for you.
Yeah, I'm not a Mitch White guy, is what I meant to say. I don't think much of him. He's, I'm not going to say he's a quad A guy. He's a little better than that, but I think he's more of a bullpen piece than a starting pitcher. I got a ton of run support with the Dodgers when he was out there, but it camouflaged some of his weaknesses. So I agree on the pitching. I think it favors Bradish, but the team stuff, maybe the Orioles, they could be running out of gas. I mean, they have overachieved, and maybe now it's starting to get away from them a little bit. So that's going to keep me out of the game. I don't want to back White. I don't want to go against Bradish. The team form favors the Blue Jays, but even though the Orioles might be slumping, they've been such a resilient and spunky team. I'm not ready to bet against them. So I'll recommend it to go with Brian here, and I'll stay out of it.
Okay, yeah. The Orioles, the most profitable team in baseball, up about 30 units on the season. So something to watch out there, guys. But at the same time, the Blue Jays playing some good baseball right now. We got one game left, best bets at the end. Huge shout out to the chat box, everybody joining us live. Feel free to fire away what you're looking to bet, and feel free to fire away in the reply section below as we head to our next game, the Pacific Northwest here, Dave. Chicago White Sox, Seattle Mariners, 9:40 Eastern, 6:40 Pacific. Johnny Cueto, Logan Gilbert, minus 145. That's the M's at home. 7 in the hook is the total here, Dave.
Well, Johnny Cueto's the magic man. I mean, he can't strike guys out anymore. I think he's got the third lowest K rate of any qualified starting pitcher. So, he gives up a lot of contact, but he's able to get soft contact and doesn't beat himself. So I don't like going against Cueto. Logan Gilbert kind of looked like he might be running into the innings wall, and then goes out and throws a great game last time out, so maybe he's got a second win. The Mariners could have a little hangover here. They won 7 in a row, but had that ridiculous rain delay on Sunday at Cleveland, and I think it showed a little bit last night. They weren't real sharp. They only lost by 1 run, but they just weren't. They didn't seem to show their usual life. They might be a little worn down. That game should have been postponed on Sunday at Cleveland. That was unfair, quite frankly. The White Sox, since Tony La Russa, and I hope he gets better soon. Everybody sends their best wishes, but let's call it straight. They've been better since he left. Miguel Cairo seems to be pushing the right button. I think the team's playing looser. They've won 5 out of 6, I believe. Now, they haven't hit the last couple of games. They got 3 runs early against Marco Gonzalez and then nothing else after that. And they didn't hit well on Sunday. So that worries me a bit. And it worried me enough to keep me off the game. Otherwise, I'd be looking to take the price here with Cueto and the White Sox. I think they're an upswing team right now. So Seattle, but I think situationally this might favor the Chi Sox a bit. So I'll lean that way, but it won't be a bet for me.
Okay. And Brian, coming to you next, to Dave's point, the White Sox, winning here? I believe 5-2 since Tony La Russa left. They're 5-1 their last 6. Yoan Moncada should be back in the lineup tonight. Are you liking anything here in Seattle?
Oh yeah, Moncada, I don't think makes a difference. He's having a year from hell. When he's on the field, he's just not playing well. So I don't think that's a positive. But I hate to say it, but with the manager out, he's been terrible all season long, at least in my regard. The White Sox have a ton of talent, and I can't believe he's still their coach. I don't think he'll be their coach next year unless they do some major damage if they get to the playoffs. But yeah, the White Sox right now are a team playing well. I like the way they're looking. And Dave hit it on the head here with Johnny Cueto. I've made a lot of money over the years playing guys who are not big strikeout pitchers because most of the people who do the modeling are big on strikeouts. Obviously, if you strike somebody out, they can't put the ball in play. And he only has a 15.7 strikeout percentage. But take a look at how he keeps batters off balance. He only walks 5.2% of batters. That's excellent. Gilbert's also very good in that regard at 6.5, but exit velocity 87.9, hard hit rate 36.2. I like watching these kind of pitchers where they used to be more of a flamethrower. They were a thrower, and now they're a pitcher. You see the same out of Bieber with Cleveland this year. These guys that are able to keep people off balance and know how to pitch. Cueto's always had that ability of quick pitching a little bit. He's used that to his advantage. I think that's something we could take advantage of here is, yes, Seattle's a better team. Yes, Seattle has played better against winning teams. And in fact, Chicago's actually one game over 500, which they haven't had a winning record much this season. But I think the value in this one is with the White Sox. They're playing well without the coach. And Seattle's a team, you can only play this well for so long. And they've played a lot of games that they've been able to pull out lately. I don't think they pulled this one out. Dave talked about Gilbert maybe hitting the wall a little bit. I agree. His exit velocity, hard hit percentage have been poor pretty much all season long. Give me the White Sox here.
Looking towards the Sox, guys. We got best bets coming up, and we'll head to Dave Koken first. Guys, check out Dave Koken, WagerTalk.com. #1 since 2019 in Major League Baseball. Also #1 at WagerTalk all-time college football profits. number one Wager Talk all-time golf profit. So he knows his sports betting here, guys. Off of a 2-0 Monday sweep, that on Clemson and the Chicago White Sox. Also, guys, something to note here, college football, 7-0 on closing line value, plus 12 points. So he's beating the closing lines here, which is very important, particularly in the beginning of the college football season. Dave, I'll throw it over to you. What do you got for best bets and anything the listeners need to know about?
I've already played 2 college football games where I think I'll get a little bit the best of the number. One of them I posted this morning, the other yesterday. And they're both 4% plays. They're up right now. I played one baseball game tonight, which I'm going to tell you about in a moment. As for the closing line value, you just want to be on the right side of it long term because it increases your chances of winning. It's as simple as that. If you are getting selections or making your own selections, the idea is to bet at the right time. Now, it's only made a difference for me in one game so far. That was the Pitt game where I laid 7. Closed 7.5, so I only got a half point of value, but turned out to be pretty pivotal because they won by 7. So I saved a loser. The other games, it hasn't made a difference either way, but the idea is still to get that closing line value. It is important long term. Anyway, best bet. Go back to the analysis earlier in the show if you want the complete rundown on why I like the Diamondbacks tonight. I will go with Arizona as the best bet, and it is a 3% selection for me tonight, so this is an actual play.
Like it, Dave. And we'll head to Brian up next, guys. Check out Brian at WagerTalk.com. He's on a near 20% ROI run on his MLB underdogs. He's number one in NHL net profit over the last 5 years combined. So check him out for all sports as well as 4% releases have been absolutely money, ranking number 2 on Wager Talk. Knows his college basketball as well for the last 5 seasons in the profit for Major League Baseball. Brian, throw it over to you. What do you got for best bets and anything the listeners need to know about?
Yeah, the Clemson game was good for us. I did use Clemson earlier in the week at a better number that it closed. I thought it would hit 24, and it did. Also used the under 13.5 yesterday on Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech.
And that one cashed. So a couple of good ones there. And terrible game. If you watch that game yesterday, it's clear that Georgia Tech's coach doesn't have a clue. So normally I'd look to fade teams that everybody hates. We might have to play with them because I don't see good things coming out of Georgia Tech. But Dave talked about closing line value. It's very important. I put up 3 college football plays already this week. 2 of them are moved off of key numbers or onto key numbers. It's very important to get the best line possible out there. As for my play today, I do have another play up on the site in Major League Baseball, an underdog. You can go to the website to see that. But I'm going back with the Baltimore Orioles, a team that they've got a pitcher I'm looking to back right now. The line is fair, and if, as Dave said, if you want more analysis on that, just go back and listen to what we talked about earlier. But I like the Baltimore Orioles as my best bet for today.
I like them as well. I like lining up with Brian on these plays and pick 'em price, guys, for my best bet. Baltimore Orioles, Bradish, 15 straight scoreless innings. Going up here against Toronto, look, they have won 5 of their last 10. Or, excuse me, they've won their first 5 games on this 10-game road trip. But still, I think Baltimore at home here. They move their fences back like Brian talked about earlier. Right-handed lineups have had their offensive production kind of diminished a little bit in Camden Yards and going up against Bradish here, who's been money. I think he holds this Toronto Blue Jays lineup, at least at bay. So at the pick'em price, Baltimore at home, one of the best home teams in baseball and the most profitable team year to date in baseball. I'll take the O's minus 105 for my best bet. So you just heard it there, guys. Brian Leonard, Dave Koken, and myself. Orioles lining up there, minus 105 for Brian. And we got Dave, Diamondbacks, plus 145. Big underdog barking in San Diego tonight. So check out Brian Leonard, Dave Koken, WagerTalk.com. I am Drew Martin. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Huge shout out to the chat box. As always, we'll be back tomorrow. Same time, same place. Come back and join us. Best of luck until then.